Sex has nothing to do with morals, Ture or false. Xiefeng. October 23, 2020. To become a celestial or a Buddha, you only need to perceive nature. An enlightened heart is perceptive of nature, perceptive of Buddha. Master Bodhidharma told us that nature, same word as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. If we not only perceive nature, but also become it, then we become celestials, we are Buddhas, and there is no doubt about this. Even if you are familiar with the vast numbers of Buddhist classics, have abstained from eating meat, and have prayed for a century, no matter how clear and logical your preaching is, how much wealth you have given, how many temples you have built, or how many Buddhist statues you have carved, so long as you have not perceived nature and have not become nature itself, then you only have merit and virtue, but you still cannot become a celestial or a Buddha. Buddha is a state of being of life. It has nothing to do with morality, faith, religion, values, merits, true or false, or any definition added to it by human society. Buddha is only closely related to nature. Nature has nothing to do with morality. When you see a peony blooming, that is the blooming of peony nature. You cannot and should not evaluate the nobility and beauty of the blooming peony. In fact, when you see a blooming flower, then you have seen Buddha. It is Buddha. Do not always think that Buddha is a life like a human being. There are Buddhas everywhere in nature. As long as we perceive nature, we can see Buddha everywhere, and understand what Buddha is. Nature is regardless of true and false, it is nature. There is no such thing as true or false nature. There are truths and falsehoods in words, and there are real flowers and fake flowers, but nature has nothing to do with true or false. In Buddha's world, everything is the nature of Tathagata, everything is true without deception. Only in the human world can there be distinctions between true and false. Look at the flowers blooming in nature, which flower is false? All are true. If you see something fake, sorry, you are not a Buddha. If you are a Buddha, you will not see false images. When a person's mind is full of moral concepts and distinguishes between good and bad and right and wrong, it proves that they have not perceived nature and that they have not yet entered Buddhism. The Bible is a treasure. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden lived like celestials and Buddhas, but when they ate the forbidden fruit secretly, they became enlightened and they began to experience a sense of shame, and concepts of good and evil, which meant that they had the concepts of ethics, values. What was the result? They were expelled from the garden, and from then on, they could only lead human lives and could never enjoy being celestials and Buddhas in that special place. Once you have perceived nature, you will no longer have troubles, pain, anxieties, sorrow, or fear. Do you see negative, passive, and pessimistic emotions when lotus flowers are in full bloom? It is just like people, when you are climaxing while making love, do you have these negative, passive, and pessimistic moods? Never. Once you become a Buddha, you will enter the Western Elysium world. Will there still be any trouble, pain, anxiety, sorrow, or fear? If we still have moral concepts and mental activities to distinguish between good and bad and right and wrong in our consciousnesses, then we are still humans. At most, you will be a saint, but you are definitely not a Buddha. It is easy to become a celestial or Buddha if you can throw away all the Buddhist scriptures, the celestial scriptures, the moral and ethical concepts established by human society, and the human values and worldviews, and just let yourself be zero and empty, just show the Tathagata state of nature. Then you will see what kind of life state you will have, but how many can do this? None. Therefore, for thousands of years, very few people have truly become celestials or Buddhas. I have the secret book for becoming a celestial and a Buddha, but I cannot say it publicly. If I did that, then people in the Buddhist world and 99% of the people in the secular world would scold me, and it would also hurt Chanyuan celestials. In the end, I would not even be able to guide one person to become a celestial or a Buddha. So I can only stop here. People with high spiritual senses will understand.